Hey everyone, Beyond TCG here, bringing you the first preview episode of the Pokemon Horizon Rising set. Today we're going to be going through the Grass and Fire type Pokemon in this set. So what are we going to see today, along with every other future episode for each type? Well, first for each type, we're going to see two non-evolving basics, so it could be a legendary or just some Pokemon that doesn't evolve at all. Four basics that evolve into a stage 1, and naturally their evolution. And then two basics that evolve all the way into a stage 2 Pokemon, and of course the stage 1 Pokemon in between. Let's start off with our grass Pokemon. And as a quick reminder, they're really good at inflicting statuses. So you'll see a lot of cards that care about either giving statuses or getting a bonus if the opponent's Pokemon has a status on it. And a bunch of them also evolve quicker than normal. So without further ado, let's start previewing some cards. So first off, we have our non-evolving basics, starting with Celebi here with 80 HP. Celebi has the fast forward attack for single grass energy. Reveal your prize cards. If any of the prize cards are Pokemon that could evolve onto any of your Pokemon, you may evolve that prize card onto that Pokemon. You cannot use this attack during your first turn. And then also Fairy Dust, Grass deals 20 damage, heal 20 damage from Celebi. Naturally, that first attack is what you're going to want to build your deck around. So that's right, folks. If you have any of your benched Pokemon, they get a evolution among their prize cards. You just get a free prize card and an evolution while you're at it. Really, really cool card, and this is actually an exception where you should definitely build a deck around this. Make sure to remember the Celebi because you may find some other cards in this set that synergize well. And also we have Carnivine here with 90 HP. For Grass Colorless, it has Vine Whip for 80 damage. But what we care about is the Mouth Cage ability, which makes your opponent's paralyzed Pokemon cannot be switched out or returned to their hands. So if you played the current Pokemon, you know that Paralysis is kind of weak because so many people just play Switch or Scoop Up Net or just something that pretty much ignores that status overall. And Carnivine here is to make sure that those Pokemon stay paralyzed. So if you really want to have a deck that you build around that and you need to make sure it goes through, that's where Carnivine comes into play. Next up are evolutions. First up we have Sunkern here with 50 HP. It has the Propagate attack for single grass energy. Search your deck for a Sunkern and put it onto your bench. Shuffle your deck. So again, just a great way if you see your Sunkern's not going to make it, at least you can grab a new one and make sure you get to evolve into Sunflora. With 90 HP, Sunflora has Grass Colorless, Solar Beam, does 130 damage, and most importantly, the Blooming Flower ability. When you evolve into Sunflora, you can pay for your active grass Pokemon's attack with just grass energy. So if you have some expensive attack, you can cheat out that attack really easily with Sunflora. Next up is Shroomish here with 70 HP. Shroomish for grass energy has the Gather Spores attack. During your next turn, Shroomish's Tackle attack poisons and paralyzes the opposing Pokemon. And for a single colorless, Tackle deals 20 damage. So again, this is another one that's very good for not only inflicting statuses, but that paralysis can hopefully keep Shroomish alive another turn. And Breloom, you may recall from the previous episode about how the set would work, but 120 HP for a grass energy does Chemical Spore. If that's the only energy, it's going to poison the opposing Pokemon. But if there's an extra energy, they're also asleep. If there's 2 extra energy, they're also confused. And if there's 3 extra energy, they're also paralyzed. So with 4 energy, you can give them 4 statuses at once, and paralysis will make sure that they can't do anything next turn. Next up, we have Pumpkaboo with 90 HP. Pumpkaboo, you can choose between its 2 different attacks here. For Grass, Toxic, the opposing Pokemon is now poisoned. And Grass, Will-O-Wisp, the opposing Pokemon is now burned. So you can choose which status is much better for the given deck or strategy you're going for. And obviously, if they already have one status, you can go ahead and give them another one next turn. And Gourgeist here has 200 HP, but has the Resize ability. You may have Gourgeist come into play with 8 damage counters. So this is kind of paying homage to the fact that there's super large Gourgeist and also smaller Gourgeist. And then Grass Colorless, Pain Beam. This attack does 20 damage times the number of damage counters on Gourgeist. So obviously if you go ahead and opt to put damage counters on it, you can get that quick attack and deal a bunch already, but you'll be a little bit weaker. Or you can choose to have a bunch of HP, probably absorb some attack, and then hit back for a ton. How you play Gourgeist is up to you, and that's the fun part. Next up, an exciting one. First, we got Wimpod here with 70 HP. Wimpod has the Wimp Out ability. If Wimpod has any damage counters on it, it has no retreat cost. As you would expect, it's just very easy to get out. It is a Wimp. And then for Grass Colorless, it deals 30 damage with Gnaw. But really cool here, Golisopod has 140 HP and just has an ability Ambush Bug. When Golisopod becomes your active Pokemon, so you switch it out from the bench to the active, you may deal 80 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. If Golisopod is dealt damage, you may switch it with one of your benched Pokemon. So originally I had actually designed this to be a card with 2 abilities, but the current card editor doesn't let you do that, so they're kind of morphed into one. But you can see the general idea here. Every time you manage to switch Golisopod out, and that could be through switch or some other card effect, you automatically deal 80 damage to the opposing Pokemon. And if you get stuck out there because he has a high retreat cost and he takes damage, you can just switch him back to the bench and then later ambush again. Now for our stage 2s. First up, we have Bellsprout here with 60 HP. Bellsprout for a single grass energy has intensified poison. This attack does 20 damage plus 40 more damage if the opposing Pokemon is poisoned. So continuing that status theme. Weepinbell here with 100 HP. For single grass has the Poison Forest attack. The opposing Pokemon is now poisoned. Put damage counters on that Pokemon during Pokemon checkup equal to the amount of Pokemon your opponent has in play. So this Weepinbell inflicts a very special kind of poison status that's a little bit different than normal, but punishes them for having multiple Pokemon in play. And finally, our first stage 2 Victreebel here has 200 HP. For single grass Alluring Toxin, you may switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with their active Pokemon. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 5 damage counters on that Pokemon during Pokemon checkup. And Grass Colorless Gastro Acid, 140 damage. During your opponent's next turn, their Pokemon have no abilities. So this is an awesome card. First off, it's got basically a Boss's Orders attack that's going to severely poison them. So that's already great for luring out some Pokemon that is probably a nuisance or you just want to sneak a prize card. And its second attack not only does a huge chunk of damage, but shuts down your opponent's abilities during their turn, which is a great way to kind of end some decks and their entire strategies. And our second grass stage 2 is the Vivillon line. First, Scatterbug here with 50 HP has Grass Swarming. Reveal the top 6 cards of your deck. For each revealed Pokemon that could evolve onto a Pokemon you have in play, evolve it. Shuffle the rest of the revealed cards back into your deck. So this is going into that grass theme of being very good at evolving quickly. You can use Scatterbug to not only evolve itself, but evolve your other benched Pokemon. Spupa here, again, another card you may remember from the previews in the previous episode. With 60 HP, it's got the Paralyzing Powder ability. When you evolve into Spupa, if it is your active Pokemon, the opposing Pokemon is now paralyzed. And then a simple Grass Colorless Bug Bash deals 50 damage. And finally, this is another one that I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Vivillon with 60 HP, 2 retreat cost, and just an ability. But when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, take a prize card. And this is one of those ones that I would always tell people, go ahead and prove me wrong. I'm not entirely convinced that a 2 retreat, only 60 HP stage 1 Pokemon with the ability to take a prize card is that good. I think it's still not good enough to be the best card in the deck. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Alright, now we're going to move on to the fire Pokemon. And just a quick reminder again of what the fire Pokemon are good at. They care about having fire energy in the discard pile. They're also good at inflicting the burn status, as you would expect from the normal card game. And some of the cards care about stadium cards. You'll see this not only in this set, but potentially future sets as well, just some cards that kind of mention them. All right, let's hop into some fun previews. First, for our non-evolving basics, we have Entei here with 100 HP. Entei has the Burning Armor ability. Whenever Entei would take damage, you may send the top 5 cards of your deck to your discard pile. If you do, Entei takes 50 less damage from that attack. And then Fire, Colorless, 90 damage, Fiery Roar. So Entei here not only is very good at keeping himself alive, but you'll notice that he sends those cards that you want to your discard pile, which is going to set up for your future strategies, such as Turtonator here, one of the preview cards with 100 HP, Fire, Grave Flames deals 90 damage, but the attack costs fire less for every fire energy in your discard pile. So maybe your Entei takes some damage, and then make sure that your Turtonator attacks for free next turn. Up next, we've got Magmar. Magmar here has 80 HP. For fire, it does the smokescreen attack, 20 damage during your opponent's turn. When they attack, they must discard 2 cards from their hand. If they do not, prevent all damage that would be dealt by that attack. Fire, fire, fire punch, 80 damage. And I'll just tell you as what this is respecting is every other Magmar in the TCG always has smokescreen and it always involves coin flipping. I think coin flipping is way too swingy in the current Pokemon trading card game. Too many just like prevent damage and then you feel like you're outlooked instead of outskilled. So as much coin flipping that could be removed as possible. You'll see if I have some coin flipping cards, it's at a minimum and it's not super swingy. So you can see this is a different way of making a smokescreen attack. Anyway, continuing on, we have Magmortar, which it evolves into, which with 120 HP. Cannon Charge, Fire Energy. Search your deck for up to 2 Fire Energy, reveal them and add them to your hand, shuffle your deck. And then Fire, 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 Full Blast Cannon, 300 damage, discard all energy attached to Magmortar. I see these attacks where you discard all the energy and they barely do any damage. I think if you're going to discard 3 energy and have to attach 3 of the same type, it really should knock out the opposing Pokemon, and 300 is the damage to go with. Next up, Numel here with 90 HP. It's got an attack of Fire, Colorless, Spew Flames, deals 80 damage, but most importantly, its Volcanic Blast ability. If Numel is knocked out, draw a card for each basic energy that is attached to it. So another card that rewards you if your opponent accidentally knocks it out early, you don't get too far behind, and you draw some extra cards. It evolves into Camerupt with 140 HP. For Fire Energy, Earthmaker deals 30 damage, and you may put a Stadium in your discard pile into play. So again, a little bit of that Stadium Matters theme. And then Fire, Colorless Eruption, 120 damage, and send the top 3 cards of your deck to your discard pile. So hey, if you don't have a Stadium, that Eruption might find the Stadium for you, the Earthmaker, next turn. Up next, we got a simple one, Pansear here, 60 HP. And Colorless Energy, Will-O-Wisp, the opposing Pokemon is now burned, so real simple. And it evolves into Simisear with 100 HP. Fiery returns. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. And then Fire Colorless, Fire Punch, 30 damage. The opposing Pokemon is now burned. This ability is not anything new. We've even seen it 3 times recently in there's a new Kirlia coming out in Silver Tempest that does this along with its Gardevoir. There's a Cinccino that does this. There's a Liepard, etc., etc. But this time I think it makes the most sense in Fire since you want to get those Fire energy in your discard pile, and it synergizes a little bit more with the deck and makes it more interesting. And next we've got Litleo with 70 HP. For single fire, Prideful Roar, 20 damage. You may attach a fire energy from your hand to Litleo, which you might be saying, well, why would I want to do that? Well, it's all about its evolution here. Pyroar, 130 HP. For a single fire energy, Grand Roar, you may discard any number of fire energy among your Pokemon. This attack does 40 damage times the number of energy you discarded this way. So if you get a few attacks in with your Litleo, you can ensure that your Grand Roar is going to do even more damage. But hey, you might have some other strategies, and then you can also get some benefits later of having all that energy in your discard pile. Now, again, we're going to hop into our stage 2s again, the classic Charizard. We start off with Charmander, 60 HP. Searing Blaze for single energy does 40 damage, and then you discard all energy attached to Charmander. So not only is that a good amount of damage for a basic, but of course it's going to synergize with our other fire energy in the discard pile strategies. Charmeleon here has 110 HP. With the Flamethrower attack of Fire and Colorless, it deals 80 damage, and if there's an extra fire energy attached, the opposing Pokemon is now burned. And finally here, Charizard. You know we got to go big with this one. 210 HP. It has the Blazing Land ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may choose a basic energy type. Discard all basic energy of that type from your opponent's active Pokemon. So they better hope they're playing some multi-energy deck, because if they're playing some mono energy deck and they have like 3 energy that are the same type, they're going to lose all that energy in one single swoop. And that's not all. Charizard has the classic Fire Blast attack for Fire, Fire, Fire. Deals 170 damage. You can also discard any number of energy used to pay for this attack. If you do, this attack does 170 damage plus 50 damage for each energy discarded. So obviously with Charizard here, you can go ahead and add an additional 150 damage if you need to by discarding all 3 energy. It's going to discard energy. It really does it all, and hopefully you look forward to playing some Charizard. And the final preview cards we're going to see here are the Chandelure line, starting with Litwick with 50 HP. Litwick has the Jump Scare attack. Colorless, send the top 3 cards of your deck to your discard pile. So again, more synergy with the other strategies. And then Fire, Haunted Flames. This attack does 10 damage plus 40 more damage if you have a fire energy in your discard pile. So another reward for getting the energy there. It evolves into Lampent with 110 HP. For Fire Colorless, Flame Prison, all players discard down to 3 cards in hand. So not only can you whittle your opponent down, but you'll see later that this kind of synergizes with what Chandelure wants. And then for Fire Colorless, Burning Ball deals 60 damage, and the opposing Pokemon is now burned. So just a simple attack there. And finally, Chandelure here has 180 HP with the ability Inherited Flame. When Chandelure is knocked out, you may search your deck for a Stage 2 Pokemon and put it onto your bench, shuffle your deck. So this is already a huge improvement because, as we know, usually the reason you don't want to play a Stage 2 is you're just so far behind if it gets knocked out and you haven't evolved it yet. Well, Chandelure here goes ahead and just fetches the next Stage 2, so it keeps your deck in nice momentum, which is awesome. And for Fire Colorless, it has the Haunting Fire attack for 130 damage. You may return a card from your discard pile to your hand. So hey, if you had that Lampent with the Flame Prison attack and you discarded some cards, you can go ahead and get them back with Haunting Fire. Alright, that's going to be it for our Grass and Fire previews. I hope you love the cards that you've seen. Definitely let me know in the comments your favorite cards, any cards you didn't like, any cards that you think are going to be the most broken-tastic things when you make your deck. And I hope you're already brewing up some deck ideas, but hold on to those deck ideas for now because we still have multiple more types to preview cards from. And if you thought this was exciting, it only gets better from here, folks. I've been Beyond TCG, and I'll see you in the next episode.